Hey everybody, Jim the Tabletop Engineer here, and welcome to a new episode. In this video, what I want to do is I want to share with you a new game. That's not quite right. It's not new to me. I've played it before, and it may not be new to you. What it is there's a new version of it out. It's called Arkham Horror, the card game. Some people call it Arkham Horror, the living card game. This just came out a few months back, and it is, I guess you could call it a second edition, but really its name is the Revised Core Set. So remember that, Revised Core Set. And I have played this game, the original version, with some friends here in Atlanta. I'm a huge Arkham Horror fan. Love all the varieties of games that Fantasy Flight puts out. But in the 30 years that I've been playing Call of Cthulhu and other games, it's been very hard to find players who enjoy Call of Cthulhu. It's a game that, you either love it or hate it. It's a great role-playing game, and it's now that's by Chaosium, which is the company that owns that, I believe. But Fantasy Flight has a license, and they have a lot of different Arkham Horror games. They have Mansions of Madness. They have Elder Sign. What else? They have Arkham Horror, the board game. Eldritch Horror, and I'm sure there's some more that I've forgotten. But this is the one that really has grabbed me the most, mainly just because they've released so many expansions for it. Now, with this revised core set, when they came out with this, let me take a step back. The previous version of this game came in a smaller box, and it came with 2 Investigator decks. Okay, in the game, you basically play an investigator. You have a deck of about 30 to 34 cards, give or take. And that deck is sort of like your character, right? There's weapons in there, and there's skills, and there's weaknesses and things like that. And, you shuffle the deck, and you play the game, and you're fighting the cosmic horrors in the Cthulhu mythos. And there are a lot of different campaigns. A campaign is just a set of scenarios that you play through and hope to survive to the end. And trust me when I say that doesn't happen all that often. Your investigators die a lot. But when the original game came out, the idea was that every 6 months or so, I think it was every 6 months, they would release a new campaign. And the campaign typically reflected one of H.P. Lovecraft's story, like the Dunwich Horror and I'm trying to think the King in Yellow. There were stories that are referenced in these campaigns, and so what they did was they would release a campaign, and it would come with the first 2 scenarios, and each campaign was 8 scenarios. So over a period of, I think, every other month, or maybe it was every month, they would release these small packs of about 50 to 60 cards, I think, if memory serves. And they just added another chapter to the campaign, so that if you made it all the way to number 8, you finished a campaign, and it tells a story. And it's really fascinating. I've only played through half of one, because the group that I played with here in Atlanta, they stopped playing right when COVID hit. I was playing maybe once a month, and never got to finish it. But you can play this game solo, and that's, of course, those of you who know me know I love solo games. My wife and kids aren't big into games, so I often look for games that have a solo set of rules so that I can play. And this game is no different. Now, one of the complaints, I don't know if it was a complaint, but one of the key concerns with the original box was if you had 4 players, the game is for 1 to 4 players. And if you had 2 friends who wanted to play, 2 people, you and a friend wanted to play, and 2 more, you didn't have enough cards in that original box set to play, so you'd have to buy a second box. And even then, they came with sort of like the same investigators. It was really weird how they decided to do it. Well, Fantasy Flight has changed that. With this new revised core set, what they're going to do is a campaign, instead of being released with a small box that has 2 scenarios and then 6 separately sold scenarios over a period of months, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be releasing campaigns all at once. You'll get a box, and it will have the entire campaign in it. And in addition to that campaign box, they're going to have what's called a character deck box that goes along with it. And right now, as I understand it, I think it's going to be 5 new adventurers, or I call them adventurers, new investigators that come with each new campaign. There's current one. I just went blank on the current one that's out. The Edge of the World, I think it is. I think it's based on the Lovecraft story at the Mountains of Madness, which is an absolute cool story. If you've never read it, go read it. It comes with a campaign box because I've seen it at the gaming stores, and it also comes with a separate box that has 5 investigators. So my guess is, if they're going to continue doing that, which that's what they've said they're going to do, every 3 months, 6 months, however often they release a new campaign, you're going to get a set of new 5 investigators. Now, if you play the old game, if you have the old version, those cards are apparently still good. I mean, the game is going to be compatible. If you've collected all 30, 40, I don't remember how many investigators there were released over the period of the first version of the game. It was quite a few. Those will be, I guess, re-released in this new format. So if you saw the game, the old version, like a year ago or 2 years ago, and you wanted to get into it, it could be quite expensive to catch up, to go back and buy all those campaigns and all those separately sold scenario packs. And right now, a lot of them are going for crazy prices on eBay, which I think is just idiotic. That's just me, because Fantasy Flight's going to re-release. Apparently, they've said they're going to re-release those campaigns for this new revised set. So I'm willing to wait. I'm not going to pay, these exorbitant prices for these old campaigns when I can just wait 6 months or a year or however, and I'll get it at the fair market value or the retail value. So anyway, let me just, I'm going to be playing this solo, and I'm going to be releasing my videos, my playthrough videos, on YouTube here on the Tabletop Engineer YouTube channel. But what I wanted to do real quick was I wanted to give you a look inside this box. Now, I've already opened it up, but I sort of put everything back in it, and then I was like, you know what, they probably are going to want to see what's in it. Now, there are a ton of videos out there that you can go watch that will go into much greater detail on the contents of the box. Just type in unboxing Arkham Horror card game revised core, and you'll find them. For what you get, it's about $50, I think, $50 to $60, which, believe me, that's a totally reasonable price for what you're getting based on the prices of the previous boxes. The previous boxes were like $30, the game, and it only came with 2 investigators. So this one comes with 5 investigators, and each investigator comes in its own sealed pack. So you don't have to take cards from Peter to pay Paul, so to speak, which you had to do that in the original game sometimes. So obviously in this game you're going to get a rules reference. This is a standard thing in Fantasy Flight games. What they do is they typically give you a learn to play book like this one, and then this is enough to get playing. And then you go to this book, which is a little thicker, when you have specific questions about specific cards or keywords or things like that. Honestly, I've learned this after playing many, many Fantasy Flight games. I just sort of set this aside and I go to this. And this is usually enough to get you going, playing the game. And then, of course, like I said, when you hit a stop, and you can't move forward in the game, you reach for this. So the Learn to Play guide is really nice. It's not much different than the previous version of the game, although there are some more. There's some nice graphics in it. This is one I'm really impressed with, this 2-page setup, this first game setup. It shows you how to set the game up in front of you to get going right away. And then the rest of the rule book just sort of goes over the basic tasks or jobs that the investigators can make, and then how the rest of the deck plays out. With the campaigns that are going to be coming out, and also the older ones, which, again, you can still find those at your gaming stores typically, you're going to get what's called a campaign guide, like this one. This is called Night of the Zealot. And this corresponds to the cards that are in this revised core set. This is a 3-scenario campaign, so it's a mini campaign. But it's enough to get you going and learn the game, learn the rules, and decide, do I like this? Do I want to keep playing it? And if you do, you go hit the campaigns, the bigger, longer campaigns. So this little book tells you how to set up the cards that are in this box specifically to run those 3 scenarios. And then it has some small questions that it'll, if you have questions about how to set things up, it's more specific. And then finally, what's really cool is it's sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of thing, based on your results of the first scenario, things carry over to the second scenario. And it'll say, for example, if you did this, go to page X or go read scenario 2B or 2A. And so the story sort of tells itself whether you win or lose, or if you die. No one really ever dies in this game. Well, yeah, they do. They do die, but they really more get knocked out. And then they come back with something called trauma, which, again, read the rules. I don't want to go too deep into this. Now, along with these 3 books, you get this packaged set of cardboard tokens. They've improved the tokens a bit. They've given you some bigger numbers, like these 5s did not exist in the previous version. You got 1s and 3s. So when you have, 4 players, for example, which from this box, 4 people can play this game right out of the box, you're going to need ways to conserve tokens. If everybody was grabbing the 1s or the 3s, you'd run out. So they've included these 5s and some extra 3s to allow for that larger number of players. Now, these are called the Doom tokens up here, and they have numbers like 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, all the way up to like -8, I think. Yeah, -8. And then there's special visual tokens that have icons on them. These are put into a bag, and guess what? It comes with a bag. It comes with a very cool bag. I'm sorry. I am a sucker for dice bags that have thematic icons on them, and this Elder Sign one, or I think this is the Elder Sign, I could be wrong, but this Eldritch icon here is on the bag. You put these in the bag, and instead of rolling dice in this game, you will take values on your cards and compare them to values on the cards that are played in the game. Like you need to normally you would say, oh, you need to roll a die and beat a 4, and your basic skill is +2. Let's just make that up. You would need to roll a 2 or higher on the 6-sided dice to hit that 4 to make it higher, right? So in this game, it doesn't work that way. Your cards have a value on it that is your character's skill, for example, like maybe their strength or their intelligence or what have you. And then the card you'll come up against an obstacle or a monster or something, and it will tell you there's a number you have to beat. So you'll start with your basic skill, whatever that may be, and it'll tell you which skill to use. And then you reach in the bag and you pull out a token. Well, if it's a 0, you just use whatever your stat is. If it's a +1, you add 1 to it. But you'll notice, this is what's really funny, you'll notice there are only 3 +1s, but there are 5 -1s, and then -2, -3, -4. There are no +2s, +3s, +4s. This is a very, I won't say it's a difficult game, but yeah, I'm going to say it. It is a difficult game. It can frustrate some novice players because it's not a game that you win a lot at. The whole Cthulhu mythos is about these standard, these normal human beings who encounter these horrors, and a lot of times they die or they go insane. And this game follows that very easy. But it sounds, if that's not your cup of tea, just remember, it's about playing a game. For me, I've played this enough where my character or my investigator has died, and then I just pick another investigator and start playing again. But if that bothers you, this could be a game you want to avoid. But it is fun. Trust me, this game is so fun. I've been really looking forward to this revised core set. I'd been hearing about whispers about this for a while, and I held off on investing any more money. I had invested some money in the previous version, buying a couple games. I bought the core game, and I bought one expansion because I was playing a particular investigator that I liked, and I got some cards out of that deck. So these are the tokens that come with the game. Now, I mentioned you get 5 investigators. They come pre-wrapped, all right? So, and all the cards you need to play Wendy Adams, right there. All the cards you need to play her are in this deck. Now, upgrade cards. You can upgrade. In this game, it's like a lot of games where you can level up your character. You get XP in the game for doing things like killing certain really big monsters or uncovering certain evil plans. There are things called victory points and XP, and you get XP, and what that does, it allows you to take cards in your deck, certain cards, not all cards, and upgrade them. Like, for instance, you may have a weapon that does 2 damage when it hits a creature. But you can spend XP if there's an upgrade card of that gun, for example. You can spend XP to buy that card, and it has pips on it. And those pips correspond to how many XP points you have to spend to get it. You can take that upgraded card and substitute it in your deck, and now you have a more powerful weapon. Maybe that upgraded weapon now does +3 or 3 standard damage to a creature. These upgrade cards apply to weapons. They apply to skills. They apply to assets that you can find. Assets include things like allies. You can pull characters that have cards that will fight right along beside you. They'll take damage just like you do, or they can protect you. They'll take the damage before you do if you choose to do it that way. And those cards often have upgrades to them. So you get 5 of these, and I've already opened one that I want to play. I've never played Roland. I like this guy because he's an FBI agent, and so he's good in investigation, but he's also like strong. He fights and he's got weapons and stuff. I'm going to give him a shot. Now, in each deck, you get reference cards. You get one that tells you the actions you can play, and also a little cheat sheet of the rounds, like how the game plays out right here. Sorry for the reflection on the card. You get one of those. You get the character card, which has all his stats at the top there, his health and sanity down here. The red is the health, and the blue is the sanity. If either of those numbers hit 0, your character's out of the game. They've gone insane or they were knocked out. Every investigator has special abilities, which are usually found in the center of the card here. And then on the back, it tells you what kind of cards you can use to upgrade or substitute. There are cards in here that you may say, I don't like that card. When it comes up, I never find it useful. Well, you buy a campaign, there's going to be upgrade cards that you could sub in to this deck. And the back of the card will tell you the rules of what kind of card you can put in here. You can't just put any card in. And then, of course, the rest of the cards, like here's Roland's 38 Special. This is a card that's just specific to his deck, if I remember right. It said something. Yeah, Roland Banks deck only. So he's the only one who gets this card. But then most of the other cards are cards that you could substitute into another deck. It all depends on whether and I think it's called their class. There's like in any role-playing game, there are classes. There's the hero type, the magic type, the rogue type, and that exists in this game as well. And they're usually color-coded. For example, you can see these gold cards and then these blue cards, and they have a symbol up here like the star, and here they have a little globe, which I believe is the research guild or research class. I can't remember what it's called. That's Roland's deck right there. And then, in addition to the 5 investigator decks, this is the big thing. A lot of people said that the original core set, and I never played the original core set. I started right into a campaign that some friends invited me to, and I learned as I went. But as I understand it, in the original core set, these 4 packs here, these cards that are individually wrapped, especially these 3, they all came like in just mixed together, like no logical format. Now, I could be wrong. Don't yell at me if I'm wrong about that, but I've heard that's a complaint. And it was confusing, like how to start a game. Well, again, I told you, the Learn to Play tells you how to set it up. And these decks are now broken into, this is called The Gathering, Midnight Masks, and what was the other one? The Devourer Below. Those are the names of the scenarios. And because they're wrapped, they're ready to go. Apparently you break this open, and there's a few cards you pull out for reference, but then everything else, it contains just the cards to run that scenario. And apparently that is a big thing in the world right now. Fans of this game were saying that that's really a good change that Fantasy Flight made. And then, of course, this big pack right here, this is all your upgrade cards. So there are 5 investigators, and there are cards in here that, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but there's a little white pip right there near to the 8 o'clock position of the 2. The little white pip. That's a level 1. So I could pay 1 XP and substitute this extra ammunition. I don't know. Maybe there's an extra ammunition 0 level in here. that gives, this one says it gives 3 ammo tokens. Maybe the first level gives 2. I don't know. But this is the pack of upgrade cards right here. And you don't really break into those until after I think you've played either the first scenario or the first 3. I don't know. I haven't played it yet. I'm going to give it a shot. So anyway, I know this was a rushed description of the game. I'm not here to teach you to play the game. There are plenty of people who have gone ahead of me and released how to play videos, and they've released unboxing videos and gone really, they'll show you every card, and I just wanted to show you what's in the box and explain that I'm getting ready to play. I have so been wanting to play this game on a regular basis. I'm going to play it what they call true solo, which is one investigator. Not 4 friends, not me playing 2 investigators. I think some people call that two-handed play. So like, you're playing one investigator on the left and one investigator on the right. I'm going to try this true solo, meaning I'm just playing Roland for right now. And if Roland gets killed or knocked out of the game, I'll reach for one of those other 4 investigators. If you have any questions about the game, post them in the comments below. I can't promise that I'll be able to answer all of them. Again, I'm sort of a novice to this game, but there are so many people out there that have played this, all the campaigns. They know every nook and cranny, every card. There's some great videos out there that you can start watching, and it is a rabbit hole that I have fallen down. But I'm tired of watching them, and I want to play. I hope you'll stay tuned. I'm doing a lot of playthrough videos, solo playthrough videos that I hope you're enjoying. This one I'm going to make a regular thing, I hope. So stay tuned. I'm going to be filming my first scenario very soon, and I'll get it uploaded, and I hope you enjoy it. That's all I have for today. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Everybody, take care.